Hello, everyone. Hope you're hungry for some school news here on Z98 FM WDTZ because the soup is on. I'm School Superintendent Todd Yohey, and joining me today in the studio is Pete Landrum, the Township Administrator for Delhi Township. And in just a little bit, Pete and I are going to talk about some exciting things being planned and happening in Delhi Township regarding development along Delhi Pike, and I'm very anxious to dig into that plan with Pete here in a little while. You can listen to Supts On here on Z98, but you can also live stream the broadcast at Z98FM.com. You can hear Supts On every Saturday at 9 a.m. and again at 3 p.m. and also on Monday evenings at 6 p.m., all right here on Z98. In addition to this broadcast, there are several ways you can stay connected and informed with district and school news. You can check out our district website at ohlsd.us. We also have parent, staff, and student portals for some additional information. You can access those at ohlsd.org. Follow us on Facebook. Just type in Oak Hills Local School District for our Facebook page. We have two Twitter accounts, at OHLSD, and my superintendent Twitter is at Tartan Proud. And of course, most people are getting a lot of their news and information and calendar events by using our district app on your smart device. You just go into the App Store, type in Oak Hills Local School District, and there is a free app from Parlant Technology, and we have had thousands and thousands of people download that app, and we get a lot of positive comments about the use of that. I want to thank everybody who participated in our first live Twitter chat in the studios at Z98 for the Supts On show and the Twitter chat. That was a very good event, and we had a lot of participation in that, and just very happy that worked out. I want to thank the fine folks at Z98 for allowing us to have that time. Also, if you didn't get a chance to see any of the coverage, we had several programs to celebrate Veterans Day across the district. There are photos and videos on our websites and on our Facebook page, and just a great day to honor those people who have served our country. We're proud of our Oak Hills lacrosse team who volunteered at the DAV 5K run on November 7th to help with that event. They did a great job of giving back to the community, and I want to congratulate the following athletes who signed their letters of intent at Oak Hills High School this last week. In girls soccer, Rachel Royer is going to Western Michigan, Sydney Kilgore to IU, Sydney Goins will play soccer at the University of Cincinnati. Rose Neenbaber at Ohio Northern, Amanda Meyer at the University of Indianapolis, and Megan Sheridan at Thomas More. So, Pete, we had a very successful girls soccer season, and as you can see, a lot of those players are going to be continuing not only their education, but continue playing soccer at the college level.
Right.
Also in girls volleyball, Tara Sander will be playing volleyball at Franklin College, and Ethan Mercurio will be on the lacrosse team at Ohio Valley University. Congratulations to all of those student athletes. Well, Pete Landrum is here with me to talk about the upcoming plans for Delhi Pike. I know this is something that has been in the news for quite a long time, and Pete, I've had a chance to read not only the articles that have been in the media, but also the plan that has been posted online for a while. Taking a look at that, hopefully a lot of our listeners have taken a look at that plan too. But can you give us just a brief overview of what that plan looks like at this point?
Well, first of all, thanks for having me. And yes, we've had this started back in April. So we started it with a company that we contracted out for called Stantec, and they have led us in every step of the way. This hasn't just been an overnight thing. It's taken many, many months, many, many meetings. We've had public engagement meetings very often. We've held them at the lodge. We've had one at the senior center. So first and foremost is that this has been a plan that has been developed through community input. That's very, very vital to have that part of the plan. What we're having now coming up is November 19th, which is next Thursday. Thursday 19th at 6 p.m. at the Park Lodge, Delhi Park Lodge. We will be having the finale. It will be a presentation that Stantec and the township will present to the public of the final version of the plan, which probably the 23rd of November will be adopted by the Board of Trustees. Now, as you mentioned, Todd, we have this plan posted on our website, township website at delhi.oh.us. If you look under Department's Economic Development, you will clearly see that it's the Strategic Redevelopment Plan. So right now we are still in officially the 30-day review period where we posted the different draft versions out there. As we have updated, found corrections, found whatever we needed to update, we have put a new version out there every week. So we didn't want people looking, if that was their first time to look at something, and look at an old version and then them list the same corrections or suggestions or whatever. So we've tried to keep up with the numbers of draft, and we're currently in draft number 4. Probably before next week it'll be the final draft 5, and then immediately following we will have the actual final version. But included in this we talk about the suggestions, the community input, and then we really get into the nuts and bolts, because what's the nuts and bolts about this is the research that is behind this. Yes, community input, vital part of this. But the other second part is the research that has been involved in this has been at least half the cost of the plan, excuse me, which has included a residential component and a market analysis. These are by experts in the field that they know their information. They have, of course, interviewed local, people in the field, experts here, residential businesses. This has been a collaboration with the Mount, St. Joseph University. A lot of feedback and a lot of professional communications have happened with the experts locally in the field to those. So they all kind of talk the same language. But with that has begun to formulate the plan. Now, what the plan is a vision for the Delhi Township. Now, I can't say it's the whole township. It's if you look at the plan, it outlines a specific area. Now, we couldn't do the entire township, but we stressed an area that we felt, which basically is our business corridor down Delhi Pike, plus a little north, plus a little south, just to ingrain the entire area all the way down to basically the Cincinnati border. So that became our business corridor, more or less. That became our plan that we're looking at. In doing that, because it's that's where our main retail and businesses are. So in looking at that, we anybody that goes up and down the pike can clearly, since I've been started as township administrator over 3 years ago now, some of the first questions I had was, what is the township going to do with all these buildings, these boarded up, vacant, big, huge old box stores, such as the old
Sure.
Central Hardware store. That's just one. So that's somewhere where we focus. So we wanted to develop 3 catalytic sites, 3 sites that we can focus on and do the numbers on, and do what's the possibilities to maximize that space, the cost that would attract a developer. Development can happen in a couple ways. You can have it be homegrown, where government doesn't have to interfere. We're a conservative community here, and with that, the less government interference, that's how this community feels. That's how it is, and that's great. But there's times, and this is one of those times, where development won't happen on its own unless there's somebody leading, helping, planning, giving ideas. In this case, that's what we're doing as a township. So we have developed 3 catalytic sites with the help of Stantec. They are basically outlined in our development plan. 1 is the Central Hardware space. 2 is basically the Remke space across the street, so to speak. and the third is basically the whole corner, Old Delhi, Chile, that whole block more or less there. Those are the three main sites, and the owners have agreed. Perrin is the owner of the Central Hardware site, and they're excited about it. But the next thing is, okay, we've identified that. We identified, if it became what type of mixed use. We're talking mixed use. We're still talking residential. The two things we vitally miss in the township. I can tell you what one thing we do very well, or two things we do very well. One thing is we have outstanding schools. Credit to Oak Hills.
Thank you very much. I'd have to agree with you on that.
Outstanding schools. So that attracts families. The second thing we have is a good supply of family homes, single, detached homes. We have good housing market as far as that. But the two areas we're missing that, anybody, I'm a little older and I'm not one of these. I'm not a millennial, but we're missing millennials. And our demographics have shown that it showed before, and this plan actually verified exactly what we were seeing before, is that people graduate high school, they go away for college, we don't see them again. Not till about 30 to 35 years. Then they know, oh, I'm getting married, I'm having children, I got to go back home. Then they come back to Delhi because, hey, there's good schools, there's all that. Mom and dad live there. So they come back home. So we're missing that millennial age of right after high school to that family. And you know as well, Todd, with this, because you work with the school district, the parents are getting older when they first start having their children. They're not, they're 32, 33 before they even think about getting married and settling down. Well, we're missing that 22, 23, right after college, urban professionals. The people have went to college. They are going to be an attorney or working on, being an attorney, IT professional, social worker, you name it, whatever it is. They still like the life of walkability. They like where they live, where they can run downstairs almost and get a coffee from the coffee shop in a small setting. They like that kind of walkability. They like it where, hey, there's a park area right there. Hey, there's, I can walk here, I can walk here. And one of the assets that we have, besides great schools, that's not going to attract a millennial, okay? That'll attract and keep them here. But the things we're missing is that we can say, hey, look at us, is that, when we're talking about the site of either Remke or the old Central Hardware, how far is that from downtown Cincinnati? Not far at all. You're 10 minutes down the hill. And with that, when you have these urban professionals, that age group of housing that we are missing, they don't want a single family home. Hey, I'm 25 years old. I don't want a grass to cut and a roof to replace and a house to paint. And hey, look, I'm just looking for a nice quality living place, somewhere that I can run downstairs and get my coffee and have access to the immediate things I need. And those are what you're seeing in the market, not just in Delhi, what we're missing, but you're seeing those developments all over, not only the Cincinnati area, but nationally, because hey, let's face it, the baby boomers who used to hold the purse strings as far as what was marketed to them is no longer the case, because now the millennials are outnumbered the baby boomers. So with that, it's a significant change in what you got to do. Now, the second thing we're missing is that age group. We said the millennials, but it's the same thing. Okay, now I've had my kids. They're gone. They're gone to college now. Well, it's just me and the wife now, and wow, I don't need this 2,500 square foot house anymore and this acre of land or half acre of land. I'm tired of all the maintenance and upkeep, and I'm 55, 60 years old, and I got to be thinking about my future, what I'm going to do, because when I get even older I'm not going to want to take care of this. Well, the empty nesters is the other group that our statistics show that you get up to 55, 60 years old, we lose population again. So those are the two demographics. What do we do? Well, those two demographics, although you got the millennial, 22 to 32 that we're kind of missing, and maybe the 67 to, on down, you think, wow, how could those be similar at all? They are. They both want and desire a area that is walkable, an area that they can go get their coffee that's close, an area that it's nice living. So they do expect nicer quality construction. They don't want to live in a dump, but they want the same things. And you wouldn't expect that from two total different age groups, but they are the same. So those are the kind of housing things that we are looking at on these sites, along with what's important, what I just said, is the mixed use retail. Those kinds of coffee shops, those kinds of restaurants, those kinds of stores, grocery stores. Yes, we already have Kroger. That's an anchor, no doubt. Those are walkable to Kroger, where these sites will be. Pharmacy, all those kinds of things. There'll be more and more things spring up, especially as the population increases because of those. That will help feed the more mixed-use retail. So what's going to be great is that all the things that the non-millennials and non-empty nesters desire, what we've heard, is still the same thing. They like a small town, walkable feel. With parks, we have the Delhi Park, which is great because it is right, the Remke, Remke's across the street, but the old Central Hardware, in between that and McDonald's is the lane to Delhi Park. And so that's definitely going to be an asset that we're going to work on, and it's going to be like a main street into the park almost. But with that, I mean, you're going to be able to really key in on those demographics, but also everybody in the township gets to benefit from it. Hey, I love those small coffee shops. Hey, I love the this or that, or more retail. Hey, more sit-down restaurants. I always kid around with everybody that part of this plan is because even before we brought this plan, when we did our own survey out there, number one thing, it was really funny, but people love to have an Olive Garden. And it was a repeated, it was above all, Olive Garden, bring Olive Garden, bring it. So, hey, there's no promises here, but I always kidded around that if I bring an Olive Garden and I'm able to do that, they're going to name a road after me. I'll be the hero of Delhi Township if I'm able to bring an Olive Garden. But it's not out of the realm of possibility. Now, we are very limited. We cannot kid ourselves. And that's why I want to stress this, that we have completed this plan with realistic expectations. We have been realist. We have not like pie in the sky. We have done our homework, the math homework, the population density homework. Some of the things that has held us back, and will always probably hold us back, is, okay, we butt up against the river. Okay, so, we can't, part of our, what we could draw people in, well, we can't draw unless we build a bridge or something, and, how expensive that is. But also, we do not have, that's part of that, we do not have a 275, any kind of major highway that, Delhi's just off the highway. We're 10, 15 minutes off the beaten path of any major internet or interstate exchange. So that's a thing. So we had to focus on the positive. What do we have? The university. Hey, we have college kids. They are wanting, and this is beyond the millennials, this is the early millennials, they are wanting housing. The graduates that are going there. So that's another feature that we can have, and that's hopefully one of our first partnerships that we're able to do is, our part of our thing now is the plan's done. Now what? Well, part of the plan lays out the now what. And that now what is the implementation, and that is getting the right people at the right table together, and getting the developer, getting, say, the university, the township, everybody at the table saying, what do we need, what do we want, what's everybody willing to commit to, housing, student housing, this, that, and then let's make a plan or look at our plans that we already have, what we can do. So that's going to be immediately following this, as well as the other thing that has to happen. I'd be remiss if I didn't say this, but part of what people don't like about the Pike and what we've heard is, it's a concrete jungle, because it's parking lot. It's the old style of the 80s, 1980s box style, big store box styles, where you have the store way in the back and you have a sea of parking lot. Well, that just pretty much don't exist, and we don't need that style here in Delhi, because we're not going to have the big box store. We'll still have Kroger, probably will be the main anchor. But the biggest thing that we will start immediately is working on our zoning. Our zoning, as far as making requirements of more green spaces, and relooking at parking, and relooking at part of the plan addresses land use plan. So we're trying to plan for at least the next 20 years. Now, we'll probably in 10 years from now, 5 years from now, we're going to say, where are we now in this plan? What things do we need to tweak? But we went out 20 years and said, hey, for land use, this is going to be commercial, or this is going to be mixed use, when it gets redeveloped. Now, that's the whole thing with Delhi. We're a developed community. We've got some very small areas that are undeveloped, but besides hillsides or things that are nearly impossible to build on, we're built out. So our focus is redevelopment, and things will need to be redeveloped. So we're very excited. We're going to start on this rezoning or zoning regulations, relooking at those so we can get those in concrete, hopefully by mid spring, that we can have the zoning, because we want, when the first development falls, of course, we want that to hit, of course, with the new zoning regulations. And what that will help to is a better landscaping, so to speak. Curb appeal is everything. You go down Delhi Pike, and it's, like I said, it's a concrete jungle, blacktop jungle. Everybody wants to see the walkable streets, the more green, more trees, more park-like feel, more like hometown USA. And so as the developments come, those are going to be the requirements. So that's why we have to get our zoning in order as well.
So let me ask you a few questions.
Go ahead.
It sounds to me like what I've seen of the plan, and I've heard you talk here on this show, is that really what we're looking at is a redevelopment of already existing space to really try and meet the needs of three distinct populations. One being young professionals, the second being the families that are currently served very well in Delhi, and then of course the senior population, the empty nesters, somebody that's not looking to stay in their 3,000 square foot home, and the maintenance that goes along with that, et cetera. And so, and as you mentioned, a lot of the needs of the young professionals and the senior population are the same in terms of easy access to retail, easy access to the coffee shop, places to eat, et cetera. And so it looks like there's been a lot of thought behind that process, and then how to get there, and so on. So I think that's a great thing. In looking at those populations, has there been any discussion about any changes in public transportation or additional transportation, particularly being 10, 15 minutes from downtown, but also having to commute within our community? Is that any part of the plan?
Not part of the plan. There is an area that addresses transportation. We've met with those in the field, the county, and different things on the transportation issue. That will be something that we've addressed, that from the perspective that, as this develops and the housing and this or that it will need to be assessed later.
Sure.
That, what are the needs, to have more of a shuttle, or, hey, new bus stops, new stop locations. Absolutely. Especially for those millennials that, hey, I don't want to take my car. So, hey, every morning at 7 o'clock, there's a bus that goes straight downtown nonstop. I'm sure that there will be something
Sure.
like that we will be able to work on in the future. It is something that, not only the transportation, but as people know it, if you go down Delhi Pike midday, it can be a zoo, getting down through that stretch. So, we'll be working with the engineer's office. That is a county road. So we'll be working with them on, when issues and developments arise, traffic flow, traffic patterns, all that kind of stuff will definitely have to be worked out. Timing of lights, all that kind of stuff will need to be worked out as it develops.
As you look at the timeline for the project, are there some significant uh, dates or times that stick out in terms of we'd like to be at this point by the end of next year? We'd like to be at this point after 3 years. Um, Something that if everything falls in place, what do some of those timelines look like?
Well, basically, we do have somewhat of a timeline. I mentioned that it was a 20-year plan, and we do have actually, if anybody wants to look, page 55 of our draft. On page 55, it outlines the phased approach. So we have like reflecting what we like to accomplish by year 5, year 10, year 15, and year 20. So we do have those kind of outlined. Whether those are real aggressive, we'll find out. But I think the biggest part is the hardest part will be the first catalytic development, the first toes in the water. And when it falls, and when we're able to start the building and the first retail mixed use shop opens up, and the first millennials move in, and the excitement builds, and the look of the nice looking of the restaurant and the home feel, hometown feel, when that falls, it's just going to spur other development. That's where, okay, the Rimke site that may be ripe for redevelopment then, and the other Delhi Chili site might be ripe for development. It's just going to, encourage more development. It's going to start the breeding process of, wow. I think a lot of people sometimes are just in disbelief that this can't happen, but you can go, as far as just 10, 15 minutes away from Delhi Township and look at development that has, people would have never thought that type of development, housing and stuff. And you're talking rents of $1,500, $2,000 for 1 or 2 bedroom lofts. It's crazy. Now, we're going to be competitive because our rents that are estimated on some of these, housing units go from anywhere from 700, 750 to 12, 1,500 max. So that's where, I can't afford $2,000 to live over there. And everybody knows when I say over there, different locations that the millennials are moving.
Sure.
I won't knock them. But we're going to be very competitive, and people are going to say, wow. But we have to not only have the good housing that these millennials and empty nesters want, we have to have what's involved with that, and that's those restaurants and the mixed use retail things that they want to stay. The nightlife to some degree. No, I'm not talking about bars and but every restaurant has a little bar area in it. That's all the millennials like. They're not going and getting causing trouble. They're urban professionals. You may be your accountant that you're seeing that's 28, 30 years old that lives in this.
Well, let me ask you a question from a millennial who would be any one of my 3 kids.
There you go. My 2.
Is there going to be a microbrewery?
Well, yeah. Who knows? We'll entertain any kind of. They do. That is true. But they, like I said though, the biggest thing is in housing stock, we're hitting the two age groups.
Sure.
What those housing stocks, or if you call it the rooftops, the new residents that move in, that help us bring the retail that everybody wants. And that's where we gain, but we do not have the right kind of population density in those areas to bring the retail. That's why you got the vacant stores. They can't survive. And I, we're like I said, we are dealing with facts. And we're not trying to make Delhi something it's not. We realize we want Delhi to be something that's filling in the gaps, what we're missing, And what will keep people in Delhi are the schools, the university, the attractiveness to how close we are to Cincinnati. Those are our assets. A great park that we have, the great township services, police, fire that we have, all those kinds of assets we just need to build on. And as we build on those, people will begin to say, hey, Delhi's a good place to live again, or to stay as a millennial, to stay instead of leaving when I get 60. I'm going to continue to stay because I can now downsize and live in the community that I grew up in and love, and not have to say, well, I have to leave because they do not have what I need. My community and economic development manager, Catherine Fierick, who has been part of this process, she's been the lead on this. She has, she's of that millennial age, okay, and she tried twice. She's moved since she's been here, and twice she has tried to get housing in Delhi Township, and she can't. It's either the old type of housing that you feel like you're in a prison, so to speak, because it's just line after line of the apartment buildings looking at one another, or it's just not good quality. These millennials like good quality, so even internally, we use her as an example, and she's an example of a millennial doesn't see what they need in Delhi Township. Therefore, I hate to say this, but it's because it's a cliche, but in this way, it is build it and they will come. If you build this to satisfy the millennial generation that's going to be here a long time, and they keep coming and keep coming, and the empty nesters, you're going to get that segment of population, which then is going to help in your retail. And let me say this very clearly so people can understand. Delhi Township is mostly residential. We have very, in comparison to other places and cities, our business commercial is very small. If we can increase that commercial, the business sector, guess what? They pay more in taxes. Therefore, they pay more in taxes. That lessens the burdens on the residents. Residents' taxes are high because they're all residents. When you develop a commercial property that's worth a couple $1 million, that's taxes paid on that property. Therefore, that's less of a need that the homeowners will have to pay. So that's a part of it, a big benefit that people don't see. Also, of course, the other part of this is, let's be clear about this, this is to increase and help property values. Property values of the township have been going down, and a lot of places are recovering, and we're not seeing it. That just means we're not attractive. I always kid. I said when I started working in Delhi Township, I said, you're if you're in Delhi Township, you're here for one or two reasons. One is, you're here because of the university. Okay. Two, my mom and dad, or my brother and sister, or somebody family lives here. Okay. The third reason you're here is because you're totally lost. You are off the beaten path by 15 minutes. You made a wrong turn and you kept going. Because there's nothing, why come to Delhi Township? And we have to make there a reason to come here because we have suitable housing stock. Yes, they come here. A lot of people will say, well, yeah, I've been to Delhi Township because, you know what? I played a baseball tournament down there in Delhi Park. Now, we hear that. But other than that, we don't, they don't say, oh, you have the best Kroger's around. Hey, we do have a great Kroger's. But there's so many other Krogers that they just don't make a track to Delhi Township to go to their Kroger. So you have to decide hey, we got to make the right housing stock to attract those people here. And of course, like I said, school districts, yeah, we can say that, they come here for the schools once they get of a certain age, but we've already said we already satisfy those needs. So we're just keying on two demographics, what they need, and then the key is that those demographics will help drive the other retails that everybody wants. And so it's a win-win.
So as you drive economic growth east and west down the pike, then naturally that economic growth is going to impact everything north.
Everything, yes. So because you make a community desirable to live in, what happens? The housing stock. So hey, your single your 1-story house, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, 1-car, 2-car garage that you have now worth X. And you're not in the redevelopment zone, but you're still in the township. You live maybe a mile or so away from the redevelopment area. That's going to impact you because your house now, when those people are saying, hey, where do we want to live? Or where do we want to move to? Those millennials, they're going to say, hey, now that I'm 35 and I just got married, hey, we need a single family home. This loft living or this 1-bedroom apartment is not going to cut it anymore. We need that single family home. Well, guess what? That's going to create a demand for single family homes. Therefore, when there's a demand, what happens when there's an increase in demand? There's an increase in value. So this is going to make everybody's home ownership, their values, property values, worth more. Hey, look at what they were. Everybody can almost have heartburn when you look at your house value in 2007 and you look at it now. I mean, people enjoy not having to pay, because their taxes went down to a certain degree because of the value. But then when they say, I want to sell, they can't because their value is significantly less than it used to be. And that hurts. So we're wanting to do something about that to make the value. Hey, if they want to stay, great, stay in Delhi. But or maybe they want to move up to a bigger home in Delhi, but they can't sell their 3-bedroom to move into the 4-bedroom that they need because their value is not good. So that's something that we just want to say. This plan wasn't a pie in the sky. It isn't a plan that we're hoping is going to sit on a shelf. We're going to implement it. But it was solely for the purpose of helping all of Delhi Township, not just the business corridor, not just that immediate area. Phase 2 of this is people have asked us, how come you didn't include the strip between the university and basically where Walgreens is? How come that's not part of our plan? We are looking at that, and we've already done an initial assessment of how would you have the connectivity between the university, because, hey, you look at Chipotle. What do you see when you go to Chipotle? Look at the customers. Who do you see?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, you see university kids,
Sure.
students, and millennials eating there. So that is a very big part of connectivity because not everybody has cars, especially maybe the freshmen and sophomores that are living up there in the dorm. Maybe they have a bike or maybe they have a skateboard or just a walkability. But anywhere in between those 2 points, it's not very good walkabilities. There's very limited sidewalks, and I definitely wouldn't want them on the road walking there, although some of them do. Well, with that, we are looking at bike path walkability between that. Now, that would be a partnership with the university and the township on getting something going and how we would do that and cost. Our initial assessment of that, not cost-wise, but just is it doable, is that 95% of the land to do that is very doable. There's 5% of the area that we're going to have to say, now, how are we going to engineer this to get this done?
Right.
But see, that's going to be another feeder into the whole business corridor that's going to make that successful.
Well, it sounds like a very well-researched plan. It sounds like a very well-thought-out plan. It sounds like a plan that will have a major impact on all of Delhi Township. It also sounds like the developers and the folks behind the plan have been very willing to listen to input from the professionals as well as community members and so on. So tell the folks one more time about sort of the finale here and one more opportunity to listen and maybe contribute to the plan.
Yes, again, on the 19th, November 19th at 6 p.m. at the Delhi Lodge, Glen Carter Lodge in Delhi Park, off of Foley Road there, or you can get to it through the other way, off of Delhi Pike, going through the rest of the park. It's at 6 p.m. on Thursday the 19th, and we will have Stantec, our contractor who's helped us with the plan. They will be there giving the presentation, as well as myself and Catherine Feerick, Tom Stahlhaber, our zoning director. He also will have a few comments. We're very excited. We have invited, I expect a full house. I really will be disappointed if not, because we've got from We've invited elected officials, surrounding communities, developers, yourself, please, school board, come hear the excitement of what's going on. And, a lot of people, I will say, in this, a lot of people were always nervous at the beginning. And when they look back after development has happened, they can't imagine if we never would have done that, what it would be like. And so, a lot of people get a little nervous when you throw this out that, wow, that's what it could be. A lot of people get excited, and we have a lot of people very excited. But a lot of people that do not like change, it scares them a little bit. But we have to look at, hey, back in the 80s and stuff, Delhi Pike was, that was the 80s model, and it was doing very well for the 80s model. Can they imagine if they would have never took that step back then, if they would have just left it as is in 1970? No, they loved what they had in 1980. Well, now it's 2015, soon to be 2016. It's time to take another look at it.
Well,
Exactly.
I'm excited. I live in Delhi Township, so I'm very excited about the plan. I'm excited to learn more about it. Coming up here at the finale at the Delhi Park Lodge. Really want to thank you for spending some time and really giving a nice, well-rounded look at what the plan is currently, and as you said, a 20-year plan at this point. So a lot of things hopefully we'll see happening there along Delhi Pike, and not just the Pike, but then as I asked, things moving northward too as you're driving. Economic development. Will you come back on at different points in time and kind of update us on where the project is and what people can expect?
Oh, absolutely. Anytime, I'd be more than glad. And people can, of course, follow us on our website. I said delhi.oh.us, but also we have a Facebook page, Delhi Township, Ohio. There's a Delhi Township in Michigan, believe it or not, so that's not us. But you can find us on Facebook and Twitter as well, and we post a lot of information out there, so easy to follow.
Okay, great. I have just a few reminders for folks coming up tomorrow up at Oak Hills High School at noon will be the auction for auditorium. As we've reported, renovating the auditorium at the high school, so auctioning off chairs and curtain swatches and some things tomorrow starting at noon up at Oak Hills High School. And then also next Saturday on the 21st from 9 to 3 is the annual Band Association Craft Fair. You can get more information at the Band Association Facebook page. Just type in Oak Hills Band Association. Well, it's time to wrap things up here for this edition of Supts On. It's been my pleasure to share with you what's cooking in the Oak Hills schools and what's cooking in Delhi Township. We hope you join us on Saturdays at 9 and 3, and again on Mondays at 6 for Supts On. Stay tuned for more programming here on 98.1 FM Z98 WDTZ.